Hour of consciousness information and much, much more. Actually, before we go to David, let's go to Max first because it's been a while since we've spoken with Max.
Yeah.
And the last thing I heard from him is that he was going to the Amazon again to do some filming, and I want to get an update on that. Max, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Chris. How are you, brother?
Doing great
Doing
as
great.
always. Tell us, what have you been up to? It's been several months since we've spoken to you.
Yeah, I've been very busy. Like I just heard you say, I've been over to the Amazon filming for a new film. I've been very busy here preparing for some upcoming seminars that I'm doing around the country with Ben Stewart. He's arriving here next week.
Oh, wonderful.
And been very busy. I've got a lot of stuff on this year, doing the Boom Festival in Portugal later on. And I've got the Entheon Gaia Festival up here as well. So, yeah, preparing for a lot of stuff while trying to make this new film. And also I've been doing those new TV shows on Dave Icke's network. So it's been very busy, very, very busy time since I spoke to you. No time to spare at all.
Very nice, very nice. How was the trip to the Amazon? Give us a little bit of insight in that.
It was good. It was very disturbing. A lot of it, they're really hacking the place to pieces. We saw a lot of illegal clear felling, like areas as big as 20 and 30,000 hectares in the middle of pristine jungle, just cleared out for palm oil, that sort of stuff. So it was pretty disturbing. I'm going to be launching a film later in the year to launch the Full Circle project, and part of the project is going to be aimed at buying large sections of Amazon that are under threat from these palm oil companies. I think the world really needs to pay attention to what's happening there.
Wow, incredible. Can you go into that a little bit in more detail, just for people that aren't quite understanding exactly what's going on down there?
Well, what's happening is, palm oil is used for just about everything. McDonald's, everybody fries with palm oil. It's in so many foods now. It's in cosmetics. It's in everything. And they're just getting so much money for this palm oil that it's not even worth them harvesting the trees. The areas that I saw, they're going in and they're just clear felling and they're leaving the trees there to rot. They're not even using the timber, and they're just planting palm trees and harvesting the palm trees for palm oil. But the trees they're using are very toxic in regard to the soil, so they're actually destroying the soil as well. So they can only grow one or two crops of these trees, then they harvest them and the soil's ruined, they can't grow there anymore, so they move on to the next section. And it's usually illegal clear felling. They just sort of grease the right palms. They build these roads where they go a fair way into the jungle, like, 15, 20 miles into the jungle, and then they clear fell. And huge areas they clear fell. And these areas where people just don't go. So the only way you find these places is if you fly over. And that's what they're doing. And they're destroying the ground and they're destroying the soil while they're doing it to just harvest palm oil. And they're so remote, the places they're doing it, that it's not even worth trying to get the trees out. They're not interested in the trees. They can make more money out of the palm oil than they can out of the timber. So that's what they're doing. And there's other stuff as well. It isn't just major companies. There's people, everyone's kept in a state of scarcity. Everyone's got to pay to be alive. So everyone's got to exploit the planet or the people in some way to get ahead. So in Peru, you can have any land that you say you want. Basically, if you live in Peru, if you're a Peruvian local, you can go and say, look, I want 5 acres of land or 5 hectares or 8 hectares of land. I'm going to make the land work because I need an income. If you tell the government what you want to do with the land, the government will give you the land. And to make the land work, well, what are people doing to make the land work? What they're doing is they're going in there, they're harvesting all the big timber, and they're selling it off as wood. Then they're burning all the small timber, and they're selling it off as charcoal for people to power their charcoal stoves. And then they are selling the topsoil off to farmers and agricultural people, and then they're mining the sand. So they're basically turning the Amazon into a desert. And they'll work this for 5-6 years until they've got down to the sand and they've harvested a bit of sand and sold that. Then they just go to the government and say, look, we need more land. We've worked that land. Now we need more land to work, and the government gives it to them. So they're basically turning a lot of the Amazon into charcoal and desert. And this is happening all up in the northern reaches of the Amazon in Peru. So really, if you want to destroy the Amazon basin all through Brazil, all you've really got to do is pollute the top end of it. And that's what seems to be going on. The whole catchment area of the Amazon is being destroyed and depleted by these operations that are going on in Peru, mainly financed by Western interests, mainly propelled by Western interests. All the palm oil companies are all Western. So there's a lot of damage being done there, and I think that we got to pay attention to it.
Right.
Jesus
And
Christ.
meanwhile, you've got the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and other organizations such as theirs trying to say that, oh, we're helping these people in the Amazon. Oh, see, we're giving them birth control. We're giving them so many things that they need. They're doing so well when really they're destroying it.
Well, they are. The Western companies are destroying the Amazon because of corporatism. Really, it's because of the economic model. I mean, we've gone and imposed this whole economic mindset over what were traditionally tribal people and native cultures, people that were connected to the earth. And we've gone in there and we've given them this Western model. You get this economic model, you superimpose it over people's minds, they get locked into it, they think money has value. And when you've got a third world country like Peru, you think of our countries the way they were back in the old days. There was lots of exploitation and we had these throwaway societies. You put that into a third world country. Like if you look at the pop culture and the local culture and the mindset of Peru, it's like 25 to 30 years behind the West. If you go there and look at the pop culture now, you'll find Transformers and all the fashions and stuff that we had 25 to 30 years ago. It's like all of the merchandise that we never used, all the plastic Transformer toys and stuff that were never sold, they shipped them all down to these third world countries and they promote that culture there. And they're living in a throwaway society at the moment, but they have access to modern technology and modern mining techniques in order to do it. So the amount of devastation and trashing of the environment that's happening there is phenomenal. And they don't know. You can't blame them because they don't know. They've grown up with these society, like they eat off papaya leaves and palm leaves. They eat their food off the leaves. They throw the leaves on the ground. The leaves rot away. But now they're being fed plastic, given plastic plates everywhere they go. So they eat the food, they throw the plates on the ground. The plates don't rot away.
No.
They don't know. They just don't understand. I was talking to a guy there and I was saying, look, why don't you bring a bucket of water from the Amazon and wash your bike here on the shore rather than wheeling your bike into the Amazon and washing all that stuff off with that soap and all that oil that you're washing into the river system. Why not do it here on the land? He says, you crazy gringo, the water's right there. Why would I go to all the effort of carrying a bucket up here when the water's right there? It's just oil. This is all good. They wouldn't give it to me if it didn't work,
So basically, they're making the same mistakes that we made 30 years ago. And
yeah.
Just not telling them the truth.
Well, exactly. They think that it's all normal, it's all good. I mean, they look at the West, they see the West and they see what's on the television. They think that it's fantastic in the West. They don't see the price that we've paid for our technology and the stuff that we've got, and that it isn't actually like what they see on the television. So it's kind of what's happening there in Peru. It's very disturbing, and there's there's a lot of good stuff going on. There's a lot of positive stuff going on, but there's a lot of bad stuff going on because of the rampant corporatism. So something I want to do with the Full Circle project is try to start buying up some of these traditional lands, and I think like the whole concept of ownership. People believe they can own the earth, which is completely weird. I think you can't really own anything, but okay, people believe they can own it, so they're buying up these sections and they're trashing them. So I think that the whole people of the earth, everybody who cares, we should create a fund and we should go in and we should buy these vast sections of Amazon, put them in a private trust and appoint the traditional owners who live there, like the Huitoto people and the Shipibo people, appoint them as custodians of these sections of land that we buy and hold in a foundation in trust for future generations, and appoint the local natives as custodians of it and save it. I think that nobody's going to save it if we, the people, don't do something about it. And I think it's important that we pay attention and do this. Plus, I think it would be really inspirational. Even if we could start small, just start buying sections and start small, but show the world that we can do it, that we all got together and we did this, we saved this. And if we can do that, well, what else can we do,
You're absolutely right. Very, very good points. Let's bring on Mr. David Whitehead, the truth warrior himself. And David, how are you doing?
Hey, Chris, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me on. And hello, Cherie, and hello, Max. Pleasure to be on with the three of you today.
Well,
Absolutely.
good to
Pleasure
have
having you. Tell us what's been going on Truth Warrior real quick, and then a jump in on whatever you want to chime in on.
Well, basically on this Monday, which is tomorrow now, man, this week sure flew by pretty quick. We have Michael Tessarian coming on. He's going to be discussing the major arcana of the tarot and basically launching a new 22-part series he's going to be doing on the divination arts, the hermetic principles, etc. And we just finished up here in Toronto with Party for Truth, where we had a bunch of bands, artists, performers, speakers get together in, cause of helping to spread awareness and information, covering a lot of the topics that we all cover on this network here. And it's going to launch the upcoming tour in the summer. So I've actually been pretty busy as of late, but it's been all really cool, exciting stuff.
It sounds like it. Wow. Absolutely fascinating. Let me ask you this. What are your thoughts on what Max was speaking about regarding the Amazon?
Well, I just wanted to say, as I was sitting there listening, that, Max, your work with the Full Circle Project and what's going on there, I just want to say thank you personally. I don't know how many people actually take the time to do that, because maybe people don't realize how incredibly important that work is in preserving this. And it's ultimately about preserving this planet and trying to get people to think differently about where we're putting our energy, where we're putting all this money and building this big corporate infrastructure, as you were saying. And it's a detriment to the planet and to our future. So I just want to say thank you for doing this great work. And if there's anything that I could ever do here in Canada to help support or at least get the word out, I'm absolutely going to do that. So thanks, man.
Well, that's great, man. That's really nice to hear. Look, see, with the Full Circle Project, buying the Amazon, I mean, this is just some part of what I want to do. I mean, I think that everyone can identify with the Amazon, which is why I want to concentrate on that. But imagine if we got enough together to even like go and buy one section of threatened Huey Toto land. Maybe we could buy like 10,000 acres or something reasonably sized, and buy this and say, well, look what we did. And if we can do that, well, what else can we do? But that's part of what I want to do with the Full Circle Project. What I want to do, I mean, there's so many organizations and movements around this planet. People join these movements and they think, now that I've joined this movement, I can get my monthly newsletter, I can get my DVD, I can go and hear someone over-intellectualize to me in a lecture once a month, and I'm going to save the world. The organization or the movement is going to save the world for me because I joined. It doesn't really work that way. You've got to participate yourself. You've got to create movements in your own community. And when I always talk about building community, people say, well, where should I go and build a community? No, you've already got community. You live in one. You've got to build community in the community that you have. Build common unity. Put it back in your community. So what I want to do is create an umbrella organization whereby we can create a template and provide a platform whereby people can start initiatives in their own local community designed to empower the local community and to push the envelope with their local council to have these people expose themselves to those members of the community who are not yet awake to the scam that's being pulled on them. If you do something in your community which is absolutely great for your community, and the council comes along and says, oh, there are bylaws and there's this and there's that, well, hang on a minute. We employ you to help us manage our infrastructure for us. And in fact, you as a council member, we employ you to act as our representative to liaise with government for us. Why are you even thinking that you would impose legislation on us which imposes our ability to do something which is going to support our community? So you've proven yourself to be in breach of trust to all of these people here. Explain yourself. Start pushing the envelope with these people. Create initiatives in your local community which are going to empower everybody in your community to remember who and what they are. And put these public trustees back where they should be, in positions of subservience, in positions of serving the community like we employ them to do. I think that people have forgotten who and what they are, and they join these movements and they think the movement's going to save the day. We need to create a platform whereby each community can be involved and empower themselves on a grassroots level right where they are. But know that there's all these other initiatives in all the other communities that are all involved. And that's what the Full Circle Project's about, bringing mankind full circle back to where we should be, which is on the top of the food chain, not subservient to government. We create government to service our needs, and the government themselves have created a system whereby we are the most expendable thing within its parameters, and the whole system is about supporting the economic model. We need to turn the tables back to where they should be, and that's only going to happen if people remember who and what they are, and that is the ultimate objective of the Full Circle Project.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Now, it seems like we've come to a fork in the road. We have two ways that we can go. If we don't take responsibility and start creating these communities within our already established communities and trying to make a difference, where do you project the world will be in 10, 20, 30 years from now? And the other fork as well. What if we do take the initiative? How can the world change if we do take the responsibility?
Well, we could take the initiative, and I think the world would change simply by us doing so. I mean, where it's going to go if we don't, we're going to be in a prison. I mean, here in Australia, the laws that have been enacted here in Australia recently, this VLAD legislation, it's aimed at saving the people from bike gangs, right? But there's no bike problem here, no bike gang problem here in Australia. It's a smokescreen. What it is legislation designed to bypass the judicial system in regard to crowd control, because they're about to open up all of Australia for mining operations, especially here in Queensland where I live. And it's about to get very, very ugly in this country. So they've enacted this legislation. They're using the bike gangs as a smokescreen. So it's really escalating at the moment. Australian police are being militarised as well. We've got police here that's starting to look like American police. And remember, Australia was disarmed 15, 18 years ago. Nearly 20 years ago, we were disarmed. What are our police being militarised for? They're building this huge coal port up in, cutting a hole through the barrier reef, building a coal port. Where's all the coal coming from? It's coming from our food bowl. They're going to turn it into a coal mine. They're going to ship all the coal to China. And this is what's happening. And the only way we're going to get through this is if people rediscover themselves. It's really the only option that we have. You know, and what could the future be? Well, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the new system should be, even if we need a system. I suppose we need a system to find our way out of this system and get us to a point where we realise that we don't need one at all. But we'll need some sort of a transitional mechanism because, unfortunately, you know, a lot of the people simply aren't capable of looking after themselves. They've been trained not to know how to do so. You can't blame them for it. You can't blame people for wanting the system to be there because people want a nanny. They want someone to pick them up when they fall. They want to know the world's going to be the way they left it when they went to bed, you know. People are concerned, they're worried. So you have to find a way of gently empowering these people, gently pushing them back into self-empowerment, back into a position where they realise who and what they are. So I believe the only way you're going to do that is to provide them with something that's going to empower them. Like I said, local initiatives in their community which may empower them into some sort of action, empower them to recognise the value of themselves. Because I believe once you recognise your own value, truly recognise it, and see yourself for what you truly are, then you can see the value in others and you can respect others. You know, respect for others comes from true respect of yourself. If you don't truly respect yourself, well, you don't respect others. And if you don't respect others, it's because you don't truly respect yourself or truly know yourself. So it's, you know, it's shifting this paradigm, re-educating people into knowing their own power, but doing it in a gentle way so that we are creating empowerment in our community, we're creating respect in our community, but we're gently pushing the envelope with these council members for them to explain themselves why this slavery system exists and why they support it, you know. I mean, it's all fear-based mind control, the whole thing. So we've got to find a way of breaking people out of that and shifting the paradigm. And like I said, I don't know what the new system will be. I don't know what all the answers are. But I think collectively, if people were allowed to, you know themselves and express their creative potential, I think we'd find a way out of it. I think it would just come naturally. You know, I think if people were allowed to live their lives in free expressions of themselves and express the art of their lives and not be subject to a system of debt slavery and fear-based mind control, you know, the sky would be the limit. And when you put this whole human collective consciousness together in a creation mode, I think you'd be surprised what we would create.
Well, I think you're 100% spot on with that. And I can see why the universe put together this round table right now, because David has a very key element or a key piece of the puzzle. David, how would you recommend that people start organizing? Because from what you said earlier, you've been doing a lot of organizing up in your neck of the woods.
Well, I mean, I'm just doing the very best that I can. And I think that you need to find what really reaches people in your community. It's like Max has been talking about for so long now, about getting more involved with your neighbors, with your community. I mean, a lot of people, especially here in Canada, I'm sure it's the same where you guys are, they don't even talk to their neighbors. So just to get out there and interact with the people that live around you, I mean, these are the people that are going to get your back if something goes down in your neighborhood. Even like we've had a lot of snowstorms and ice storms and power outages going on here. And just to see regular people that I've never even really spoken much to getting together to try to help, you know, clear the roadways and work together with exchanging foods and stuff like that, because power outages are going on all around. I mean, these are some ways to start. So some of the things that I've been doing is we came up with the idea of just having a party, and that's what this whole Party for Truth was about, was just to get people together in an environment that wasn't just a bunch of people standing there lecturing them on all of these issues. As much as that is important, most people don't have the attention span for that. So what we tried to do was do, quick little 10 to 15 minute introductions from different speakers on different topics, mixed in with, some bands, some musical performances. And I really felt that the artistic element being brought into it, it just really started singing to people while we were there. I got a really good reaction from everybody that attended, and we had people from a lot of different demographics. We had young people, old people, people from different cultures, people that had never even had any idea of some of these issues. We had the local fluoride resistance movement trying to get the fluoride out of the water here in Toronto. They were there. They went up there and started saying a few things. So I don't know. I just thought that the eclectic nature of bringing a bunch of little tiny topics just to kind of introduce it to people, and at the same time, bringing in the music and the artistic and some of these performances. We had martial art performances there that I was a part of with my team, and it was just all about expressing the best parts of humanity while at the same time talking about some of these other issues that are pertinent to everybody. So I thought, for me, that was a great success, and I think it could work for some other people as well.
Yeah, look, all these things are good ideas. And what you were saying about stuff for your local community, this is something that I've stressed as well. A lot of people expect, okay, because you're starting the Full Circle project, you must have all the answers. Well, I don't know what works in your community. You live in your community. What's something that is a common interest in your community that you can use to unite those people, to get them to listen in the first place? So it can be tailored for every local community. I thought things like swap meets would be good as well. If you've got a whole bunch of people, just advertise, okay, we're going to meet in the local park or whatever. We're all going to open our car boots. We're going to swap stuff with each other. No money. We just all, you got something I want to, okay, I'll swap for this, and swap, just all get to know each other and just start giving to each other. Promote that concept of giving to each other and swapping things with each other. It could be good. It could be fun. You could break down barriers, get to know each other, keep it a regular thing. Of course, the local council won't like you doing that much, because when goods are changing hands and there's no money involved, they can't keep track of it. So they may question you on why you are doing this, which is good, because you think, well, we're doing it because it's fun and we're all a community and we want to help each other. And if you're telling that there's legislation that you guys have enacted which prevents us from doing this, we want to know why. We want to know who enacted that legislation, because we consider that to be an abuse of power. So that way you get to know each other, and you're also pushing the limit a little bit, because we've got to push these people. We've got to start pushing back. We've got a serious situation here, and there's too many people that think that if we all just sit and meditate and all concentrate on good stuff, then good things are going to happen. We've got to push the envelope. We've got to bring some of the divine masculine back into the picture here, and we've got to stand up for our rights, because rights only work if you use them. And any public trustee that presumes to inflict himself upon me, well, I need to know why he believes he has the power to do that, because I believe he only gets that power from me, and I'm sui generis. I'm therefore subject to my own jurisdiction, the same as him. If he's claiming otherwise, well, I'm accusing him of being part of a slavery system. I mean, this is the way I go with these people. And this is what I do with every single piece of authority that I come across. And I always do things that will empower the community, but I always make sure that what I'm doing is right on the borderline of what they think I can get away with. And if I can push it a little bit and go to a point where they're going to claim I can't do it, well, that's where I'm going to go, because we've got to start pushing back with these people. And I think that's a very, very important part that people need to adopt into anything that they're doing. Always go right to the edge of whatever guidelines they give you, and then push a little bit past.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We've got about a minute left until we hit the break. But David, tell us real quick, how did you organize the party? How did you promote it? How did you get the word out?
Well, we started talking to people locally. We got involved with letting some of the alternative media outlets here in Toronto know about it. We were working with guys like Dan Dix from Press for Truth. We were working with Patrick White at Conspiracy Culture, which is just a bookstore here that has books and information on these types of topics. And then it started getting out to even some of the mainstream media. And there was actually 4 press releases written on the party, and it just seemed like something like a big snowball that just kept on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more we started talking about it, the more people were actually reaching out to us. So I actually found that my experience here, especially in Canada, is that Canada is kind of a sleeping giant when it comes to this. I think there's a lot of people that are awake, that are concerned, that are aware of what's going on in this country, even with issues like with the tar sands and the oil sands, the pipelines, and all this nonsense going on here. So these types of things are really waking people up. And sometimes you just gotta, it's like when you build it, they will come, kind of a thing.
Wow. Fascinating roundtable we're having with Max Igan and David Whitehead. We'll be right back. Quick break and another long segment right here on The Chris Geo Show.
Exposing the hate and exploring the love. This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network.
All right, final segment right here on the Chris Geo Show. We're speaking with Max Igan and David Whitehead about local activism, getting involved in your community. And I think both of these gentlemen have really great ideas, and they've put in the work to show for it as well. So nothing but respect and the highest esteem to both of them, in my opinion, for leading the way and paving through all of the hate, hype, and fear, and really showing people that it can be done on a community level. Now, Max, let me ask you this, if we can kind of shift gears for just a moment. Let me ask you about your ayahuasca experiences down in the Amazon. Did you have any new ones while you were down there?
Actually, yeah, I did a ceremony with a man called Orlando, shaman called Orlando, who was a shaman that I had a major experience with in 2012. I think I told you about when I had that journey when I basically met the Earth Mother, and the Amazon downloaded its whole emotional journey into me, and I had the vision that I had to make the film and start the buyback scheme for the Amazon. That all came out of an ayahuasca journey in 2012. And I went back to the same people, actually. They've got a different place now, but I went and stayed with the same people at Tierra Vita, and did ceremony with Orlando again. And it was quite an amazing ceremony.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't even describe for you. It was a very physical ceremony.
You know, I recently had an experience where I met what Terence McKenna described as the Godhead, and it was this kind of a Mayan-looking pyramid, and it had Egyptian symbolism, all kinds of symbolism around it. It was this one particular entity. On the top of it was this pyramid with it looked like an all-seeing eye, and it just locked onto my third eye and started projecting all kinds of information into my mind. I mean, it was projecting it so fast and so heavily that I couldn't comprehend the information that I was being given. And when I was able to maintain myself, I kind of communicated back to this entity telepathically, telling it, hey, slow down, I don't understand what you're telling me. And it communicated back to me, you'll know what to do with this information later. Just take it with you. You'll know what to do with it later. It was a very, very bizarre experience. I still don't know what to make of it. But when you made contact with this being or entity or source of information, what was that experience like? Visually, what were you seeing?
Well, that was in 2012. I saw basically the Earth Mother in front of me. It was a giant blue face with emeralds studded on her face. She had a blue feather headdress on. She was right there in front of me, perfect 3D, like she was in the room. There were shamans standing all around me in the room. All of the ancestors of the shaman who was singing were all standing in the room. A plant grew up into the middle of the room and started basically downloading its telepathically, kind of downloaded its whole journey, told me the whole story of the Amazon, the entire emotional journey of the Amazon. I had a jaguar run through the room, run across the bed. Very real, not like fantasies or, it was literally seeing into a spirit realm, literally seeing into another realm. And I did all these sort of cognitive tests while I was there as well, like closing my eyes and suddenly everything disappeared. So, and pulling a blanket over my head and I still couldn't see them and all this sort of stuff. So I did all sorts of things to try to understand what I was seeing, whether it was a hallucination or whether I was literally seeing into another realm. And I decided at the end of it that, yeah, look, I'm actually seeing into the spirit realm here. And these people are communicating to me. It was amazing. Indescribable if you haven't done anything like that. But it was very profound. And it happened right before I went off on my tour around the world in 2012, because I only went over to Peru for 2 weeks, but it ended up being a 3-month journey where I went right around the world. And I left and came home with exactly the same amount of money that I left with. It was bizarre. The whole thing was really, really bizarre. It was just this whole synchronistic event that happened.
Wow.
I only actually left home for 2 weeks. Took a certain amount of money with me because I didn't really have much money to travel. But yeah, came home and I had exactly the same amount of money in my pocket when I arrived home as what I did when I left. So
Wow.
it's amazing.
Now, I have had similar experiences where I see beings or entities crop up in the room with my eyes open. The most powerful that I've experienced, and this is just my personal experience, is complete darkness, complete isolation of the senses, isolation of the ears, the eyes, everything, and seeing into this other realm with the third eye. When I experienced this, it was complete eyes closed, total darkness. Everything was in the third eye. Yet everything was so bright and vibrant. The third eye was just so alive, so illuminated. It was really something, again, like you said earlier, you can't really describe this to somebody that's never done it. It's just it's one of those things you have to experience it for yourself. David, have you had any experiences with ayahuasca, DMT, anything like that?
Not myself personally, not as of yet. I've been very curious about the sensory deprivation tanks and whatnot. They do have some close to me here, and I've had some talks with people that do that, and they just from that alone, they have some pretty incredible revelations and experiences and sort of in the dream state and whatnot. So yeah, always been curious, always looked into it, and definitely feel that we all have a connection to this earth, and it just makes sense that the earth herself would produce these types of herbs and plants and remedies in the same way that it produces things to heal physically, heal the body physically. Of course, it stands to reason that there would be these plants and whatnot produced to heal the psyche and to reconnect us to the more multi-dimensional nature of who we are. So definitely curious about it.
Oh, it's something to look into for sure. Max, let me ask you this. During the ritual, did you actually go out yourself with the shaman and chop down the ayahuasca and the other brew, the other component? I don't remember what it's called. Psycho something.
Shakuna. No, I didn't. We didn't do anything like that. I was only there staying for a little while. I was staying with friends. They already had some there, and I just requested that this shaman come along. Actually, Ben was with me. Ben Stewart. It
Oh,
was
really?
an interesting ceremony. But I mean, I think ayahuasca is beneficial in showing people that realm does exist and showing you what it can be like if you do have the correct amount of DMT in your body that you're supposed to have, because we all should have more DMT active in our body than we do. Obviously, it's because our pineal is shut down that we don't. And this is what causes us to be so disconnected from the earth, because we can't see a lot of what's going on around us. What people would call instincts. I think ayahuasca is beneficial for showing people that they do actually have instincts, higher senses, because that's what instincts are. If you look at an area, say, where you've got a tsunami coming and all the animals leave the area before the tsunami comes, it's because the animals can read the energy of the area. They know things are about to change. And you'll find a lot of if there's any tribal cultures that live in the area, they too will leave and go to high ground because they can read the energy. They know things are about to change. And these are called instincts, but really they're higher senses that we are not privy to because our pineal gland is calcified from a very young age, mainly due to fluoride and most of the toxins that we're subject to probably through vaccinations as well. I mean, they do everything they can to make sure this is shut down very quickly in people, so you don't experience these higher realms. And that's what I think ayahuasca is beneficial to do, because even in tribal cultures, normally if people are living a normal lifestyle and they're eating healthy food and they're not subject to fluoride and all the toxins that we are, they will be living a very active life anyway. They will be more instinctive. They will have access to higher senses as well. And they would only go to see the shaman if they had a problem. If there was a problem with them energetically, if they were sick physically, they could go see a shaman. The shaman would do ceremony with them, and the shaman would drink the ayahuasca. The people wouldn't, the shaman would. And then the shaman would talk to the spirits in the spirit realm. The plant spirits would talk to him. The plant spirits and the spirits from the spirit realm would tell him what the disturbance was in this person's body. And very often a certain plant would volunteer to be a medicine for this person. So then the shaman would be able to come out of the ayahuasca state, take this plant, create a medicine, and give it to the patient, and it would heal the patient. That's what ayahuasca was used for. And what the shaman now are using it for, they basically come out of the network and come out of the forests to give people the ayahuasca, to give them the crash course, to let them know that this other realm does exist, because it's on the verge of being lost. We're losing access to this realm. A lot of it is through rampant Christianism that's happened to the planet. They send the missionaries in. The missionaries go and they convert the tribal cultures to Catholics. And then these little Shipibo priests become very staunch, and very staunch Catholics. And they go out and they kill all the local shaman because they believe Jesus wants them to do it. God wants them to go and kill these people because these people are supporting the devil. They're worshipping the devil. They get very staunch about it. And it's okay for them to go and kill these shaman because you can kill them because it's okay. The Redeemer complex. Jesus died for my sins, and so I'm able to go and kill somebody else, and it's okay. I'm doing God's work. That's what the Christian mentality does to the natives. So the natives are actually going out and they're killing the shaman. There's a lot of shaman killings that are still going on in Peru and in Brazil, and they're being done by Shipibo and by Huey Toto and by the native people themselves are actually going out because they're being converted to Christianism. And so they're going out and they're killing these witch doctors, And so when a lot of people even look at the ayahuasca centers that are happening down there, how many of them are run by gringos, and they think, oh, these are Americans going down here and profiteering off local culture. And even a lot of the local culture are being taught to believe this. And some of them are looking very negatively at these gringos that come down and set up these healing centers, and they get a little bit jealous because they got all the money and, rah, who are these guys? What do they contribute to the community, All they're doing is they're getting these drug ceremonies, It's not a drug, it's a medicine. Even the locals who live in the cities are being taught to believe that this is a drug culture. It's all staunch Catholicism all through the city areas, even in Pucallpa. You see Jesus on the back of the motorcart taxis, and King of Kings written everywhere, and big photographs and pictures of Christ and Mary everywhere in all the pubs and all of the restaurants and all sorts of stuff. So it's rampant everywhere. So if the gringos weren't actually going down and creating these healing centers and promoting this medicine, you'd find this culture would be being lost simply by the local Christians going out and killing the shaman. A lot of the shaman down there don't even tell people that they're shaman. They're very secretive about it. So there's a lot going on there that people don't understand. Interestingly now, the Peruvian government has just changed the regulations so that nobody can mail any liquid from Peru. About a month ago, about 3 weeks or a month ago, they changed the regulations. There are people who go out, servers that work for Shipibo or got authorized by Shipibo and authorized by other. They call them religions because that way they're allowed to perform their ceremonies. So there are servers that go out around the planet, around America, around Europe, around Australia, who actually get ayahuasca shipped out to them from Peru. But Peru has changed the regulations, so that can't happen anymore. So that's an interesting little play that's just happened 3 weeks ago. So anybody around the planet who's been participating in Peruvian ayahuasca, it's all come to a stop.
Well, the latest that I've heard about this is that women are being raped by the shamans.
Well, there's a lot of neo-shamanism that happens around the place. This is the thing, People think that it's something that it isn't. and a lot of people, frankly, are abusing it. I mean, a lot of people are just doing ceremony after ceremony, and they're just abusing it. It's once you've connected to this and you know this exists, it's really up to you to do that, to be there, to connect to that. That's there all the time. That's one of the first things the mother will tell you, that you don't have to take this medicine to talk to me. I'm here all the time. All you have to do is listen. But people keep doing it, and they keep pushing it, and it becomes this thing. But what are they doing with the information that they're learning in ceremony? Are they applying it to the world? If they're not, why are they doing ceremony? Because that's what it's about. What it's about is reconnecting people to the fact that there is more to reality than what you thought there was. Now you have that information. Go out and apply yourself to the world. Apply your spiritual understandings to the world. If you're not doing that, why are you even bothering getting these spiritual understandings? And she'll tell you that. If you listen to what she's saying, if you're not doing what she says and explaining and applying it to the world, then why are you coming to talk to me? That's what she'll say.
Mm-hmm.
She's loving, but she'll kick you in the ass as well. And people need to not. It's becoming a cult. It's becoming a culture. And as Terence McKenna said, culture is not your friend.
No.
You've got to start applying. People have got to start applying themselves to this reality. Like I said, we've got a serious situation here. All of the spiritual understandings that I've spoken to on the show, and all the effort that I've gone to help people understand themselves. What it's been about is so they have the tools to be able to apply themselves to the world. Start doing something. Look what David's doing. He's starting doing these things, these gatherings, these the little spread information, spread goodwill amongst the community, create community, put that common unity back into the community that you live in. If we all do this all around the planet, we'll change the world in a day. If people simply apply themselves. And that's what these ceremonies are for. That's why the shaman have come out, to tell people that this other reality exists. And if you don't apply yourself to this reality, you're going to lose access to it. You're going to lose access to all of this knowledge. But instead of people doing that, they're forming these little ayahuasca circles, and they're going down these little closed ayahuasca communities, and it's just becoming an indulgence for too many people. I really believe that.
Well, it's kind of like how Christianity was a great thing until the Roman Catholic Church got a hold of it, and the Holy Roman Empire was founded. Just like ayahuasca is a wonderful thing. It's an important thing. It's something that everybody should do, but it's gotten into the hands of greedy people that have turned it into a cult.
Well, Christianity, if Christianity even existed, if Christ even existed, it's debatable. There's all sorts of debates about it. But if he did, what he was a rebel. And there was no Christianity when Christ existed. Christ was a rebel against the system. He told everybody to know thyself. Know yourself. Know who and what you are and how to relate to yourself so that you know how to relate to the world around you, and the whole world changes. That's basically what he said, which is what a lot of people have been saying for a long time. But they turned it into a religion because he created a difference. They turned him, he was against the state. He was a total rebel, total anti-authoritarian. That's what he was, And anybody who says they're a Christian and all they're going to do is turn the other cheek and love everybody and love their enemies. I can love my enemies. That doesn't mean I'm going to take a backward step to them. I can still defend myself against anybody who chooses to exercise a right of ownership over me and love them at the same time, and understand that they're simply misguided and misinformed and programmed. That's why they're doing it. I don't hate them for doing it. They're just programmed to think that way. They're just misguided. I can help them figure out that it's different to that. It's not the way it is. But don't expect me to bow to your authority, because you don't have any. That's my attitude, and I think that was his attitude as well. He was just in a good spot, and he made a difference with a lot of people. They took this, and too many people started doing this and rebelling against the system, so they grabbed it and they turned it into a religion, which they used to turn everybody into docile little sheep. And that's what they've done with Christianity. There was no Christianity when Christ was around. He didn't have a religion. He was just a rebel.
It seems to be the precedent historically when you look at anything that's ever come out in sort of a grassroots nature where people are really trying to do good, or we have these various rebels, and then it turns into some movement, turns into some cult or religion, and then it gets infiltrated. It's kind of like how the charities of the world I've got a lot of people that I know that are all about, going out there and running for the cure and donating all of their money or a percentage of their money, almost like a tithe or something, to some of these big, huge multinational corporate trading on the New York Stock Exchange charities that are actually funded and set up by these huge, huge conglomerates that are extremely wealthy. And it's really all about making money at the end of the day. And I know because I've talked to dozens of people who've been on the inside on these big charities. And again, it appeals to the good nature of humanity because of the word charity. And it says, hey, come on in. We care about those starving children in other countries around the world that were, simultaneously bombing and creating those poverty conditions to begin with. But they try to pull your heartstrings, and they show you all of these horrific images, and they're constantly beating you over the head with guilt. And then they try to bring you in and say, well, now the solution is your money. So money becomes the solution again. And that's how this system functions all around, is that all we got to do is keep throwing money at these problems. You don't like the fact that the rainforest is being cut down? Let's just build some kind of a charity and start throwing money at it. And then you realize who's making the money. They're making money on both ends of this thing behind the scenes. So exactly this message that Max has been talking about, in my opinion, is one of the most pertinent messages for the human race right now, because we really are, if we do care, if we say we care, and we do have that charitable nature, we need to start thinking outside the box in terms of solutions, because this system is very crafty at getting people to fall into so-called solutions that in the end actually feed it, because it operates like a parasite. A parasite or a tapeworm enters into your body, it's going to convince the host that the host needs it to survive. And then it's going to start getting you to feed that parasite. And you think you're feeding your hunger or your whatever, but in the end of the day, you're actually starving your body of nutrients, because that parasite or that tapeworm is actually absorbing all of that. So if we can see that this earth and this planet is a living organism like that we are part of it, we could start becoming the white blood cells. We could start actually contributing, physically, mentally, emotionally, every way. We need to start, pulling ourselves together and coming up with something that's actually going to work, instead of constantly falling for these traps.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, all of these charities, most of them exist simply to pay the wages of the people who work for the charity. And the people that the charity is actually supposed to be supporting come last. Once they got the leftovers, that's what they get. They allot a certain amount of money for them. But most of it's spent on advertising and on paying wages. What I'm saying is create a foundation, have it run by a small group of people, and use all the money from this foundation to simply buy the whole place and lock it into a trust where it can't be touched. It's private. Private trust, done. Deal's done. Can't be touched. It's not in the public. They can't get to it.
Exactly.
I read an article the other day about myths about the world's poor, and it sounded perfect. Everything that the article was saying was spot on about everything that we talk about. And then I read at the bottom, by Bill and Melinda Gates. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. How did this happen? I'm a pretty intellectual person. I know all of these things about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. How is it that they're so good at what they do that they even sound like us?
They copy and paste, I think, from a lot of these websites that we've put up, and then they use it. It's kind of like when you go back to reading what the Gnostics were talking about with the archons, how this sort of archontic force was unable to produce creativity in order to bring about the infection, and so it actually uses the host itself to use its own creativity to build its own prison. So I think that when you're talking about these Bill and Melinda Gates foundations and all of these royal institutes and royal establishment, even the museums, and you get into any area of this, you see that it's the same structure, and they create it based on our own ideas, our good, creative ideas, and then they turn it into something that benefits them. I think back to what was that huge charity drive back in the day? They had like Bono and all those guys there, U2, and they were trying to build up all that money to help Africa or something, and it just ended up that all these guys got houses in Beverly Hills, and they got all this extra, awards, and they got knighted, for crying out loud. So I mean, you really just got to follow the money and follow the actual result. It's like even in the Bible itself, it says you will know them by their fruits. Forget about what they tell you.
Right.
You will know them by their fruits.
Exactly. Look, a lot of what happened with Live Aid was absolutely disgusting. A lot of the money got somehow disappeared, and a lot of groups in Africa got told to go down to this certain area where all the aid was going to be arriving, and no aid ever arrived there. Many of them died in that area. You know, it was horrific, the results of Live Aid. But all these organisations are nebulous. They all exist in the ether. You know, like you join this foundation and join that foundation and do this and do that. You know, come to this Live Aid thing, donate money to the World Hunger Appeal, and you do this and you think, okay, I've made a difference. I haven't paid any attention to the world around me, but I got out my credit card and I punched a few numbers into this little thing here, and now I've made a difference. You haven't. It's just gone off into the ether. You know, you can save the world from sitting at home. You don't actually have to participate. It's the same as when people say, look, I'm seeing everybody waking up around me. There's this big exponential awakening happening, and there may well be. But okay, are you applying yourself? Are you applying this to the world? Are you actually doing something, or are you just sitting back saying, oh, it's all going to be good because everybody's waking up, so I don't actually have to do anything because the world's waking up? And so there's going to be this some guy on a white horse is going to ride into town and challenge the system and save us all. Yeah. And then we'll be saved, you know. I don't actually have to participate because the world is waking up. There's a lot of that goes on as well. There's a lot of this new age stuff, and there's a lot of complacency out there being presented to people that, you know, and they're not participating. People just aren't getting involved in their local community. They're not speaking out. They're not getting involved, you know, and they need to. We need them to. The world needs them to.
Right.
Very well said. We've got about a minute left. David, what would you like to leave the audience with?
Oh, well, I just want to say that, first of all, thank you, Chris and Cherie, for the network and for bringing me on. It's been an honor serving here on the network. I'm looking forward to some more great shows coming up. And for anybody that wants to follow what I'm doing here in Canada with my partner, Chris Russack, you can go to modernknowledge2014.com. We're just trying to start a conversation across this country. If we can start with that, sharing ideas, networking, getting to know each other, talking about some of these subjects that are not covered by the mainstream, then I think that's a great place to start, and we need to start formulating these solutions on a community level.
Fantastic. It's an honor having you on the network, David, and you're an inspiration to everybody, definitely. Max, anything you want to leave the audience with?
Look, what he said, I think that's great what he's doing, and this is exactly what I want to do with the Full Circle project. So please look into that, David. This can all come under the one umbrella, you know, because we can't have too many organisations, you know, because this can be under that same umbrella. I think we can make a real difference this year if we participate. So let's all get involved.
Very well said. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. Stay tuned. Dr. Brooks Agnew up next with X Squared Radio, exclusively right here on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. Special thanks to David Whitehead, Max Igan, John Phillips, and everybody that tuned in this evening. Love you guys.
Love you guys. We'll see you next week.